Hey Trucked Up guys and gals, it just happened here in Canada, and according to Trump, it's days away from also occurring in the United States. The UK already dumped theirs, along with Germany, Sweden, Australia, and Ireland. Yes, we're talking about EV incentives and their forthcoming demise. But did Canada really cancel their EV incentive program? And what kind of impact will this have on EV trucks? Let's waste no time, dive into the details, and get totally trucked up. It will no doubt have repercussions. We've already seen them. In 2024, according to Euro Weekly, Germany saw a corresponding drop-off in EV sales after abruptly cutting their programs at the end of 2023. Australia axed all incentives, and the ruling political party successfully launched what many called a misinformation campaign, along with stuff coming out of legacy auto and the oil and gas industry, achieving the desired effect of knocking EV sales down over 30% in that country. First, here's the facts. You'll find all the links to the numbers and stats from this video in the description below. Don't take some old fart YouTuber's word for it. When in doubt, seek sources. Many of the cited links also have their own links to even more resources, so do check those out below. We have seen throughout the last century a resounding success story from incentive programs. One of the best examples is both in Asia and Europe regarding rooftop photovoltaic solar and solar hot water tank adoption that again coincided with the underlying incentive programs. EV incentives were no different. We can see a direct correlation between EV sales and incentives in every country where such programs have been introduced. By increasing the cost of what the program is trying to phase out or get rid of, and decrease costs while offering benefits for its replacement, the vast majority of people get on board eventually with any of these incentives. So why ditch EV incentives? Well, there's a lot of debate over this, but much has to do with the politicization of EVs and programs to promote them, and massive efforts to undermine them. Just like we've seen with tobacco, climate change, renewables, and anything that threatens the money flow for the status quo. We can see the success of this misinformation in what is selling. Suddenly, out of the blue, a large majority of car buyers still aren't going back to gas, but have moved to hybrids. Isn't that strange that all these things line up on a timeline? It's even more ironic that much of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, what I always refer to as FUD, doesn't mention that hybrids still have all the same stuff in them. I hate to break the news to hybrid owners, but guess what? They've got all of it too, just less of it, and are more likely to catch on fire. In fact, out of the three, pure EVs are the safest. But legacy auto makes tons of money on hybrids, their most profitable product in many cases. What's key right now is what is happening in North America with the current programs. Did Canada actually kill it? Keep in mind that like many individual states in the US, many provinces in Canada have their own EV programs also. What the government of Canada is saying in their press release is that the program has been paused. Why? Because it's overwhelmingly successful. Like the US, these programs are having the desired effect. The whole reason for having them was to move the needle forward and also make it more affordable for people to get into EVs. So the programs have been milked, but so much so in Canada that it drained the allocated funds much faster than anticipated. The way things work federally is that the budget that requires a majority vote in the Parliament earmarks a certain dollar amount for all of its programs, including this one, known as Incentives for Zero Emission Vehicles Program, or IZEV. Fucking acronyms. God, somebody just stop it! Anyway, keep in mind that this program was scheduled to pause and be assessed when it was originally introduced back in 2019. So there's no surprise at all. It's written right into the document, other than a lot of media seeing a sudden opportunity for clickbait to get more ad revenue, more of you to click on some drama story and get you all worried. So let's just sit back and find out in March of 2025 or sometime thereafter what the current incoming federal government has planned should an election be called, or the current one stays, and what they do with their program. But the bigger question, Will this kill the rising demand in EV trucks? Again, let's look at the facts. But first, I hope you will click that like, subscribe, and bell notification icon below to help my little channel reach 4,000 subscribers. Holy crap, we're almost there, folks. Shooting for that all-important goal of creating a trucked-up community of 5,000 people. I'm also trying to do huge things, as many of you know, with a non-existent budget, really. So consider that thanks button or pitching into the Flat Tire and Coffee Fund in the description below. My sincere thanks for everything you've done for this channel. How much have any of these incentives driven EV truck sales in the past up to this point? Well, according to their prices, availability, and trims since the first EV truck became available in Canada, the Lightning, almost none. Canada didn't even include trucks, EV trucks, in their IZEV program until around the beginning of 2023. And when it did, there wasn't a single EV truck available to Canadians that qualified. So it was just writing on a piece of paper saying, you can get a truck up to this amount, which eliminated every single EV truck that you could possibly buy. The government had set the cap rate at 70,000 Canadian, possibly thinking it could drive the price down to meet the threshold. It didn't work at all. The only truck that qualified was the Lightning XLT. You couldn't get the Pro up until very recently. For like a couple month window, you could get the XLT. There were no XLTs in Canada. So that was just before Ford decided to raise the prices rather than lower them. That didn't work very well. Keep in mind that the federal amount was and still is, up until it just paused, 5,000 Canadian. That's $3,500 US. Compared to the US incentive of $7,500, or what would calculate over to $10,750 Canadian. That's a huge amount of money. But the US didn't turn out to be any better for EV trucks. Up until recently, few trims or models met the criteria. Also, the programs are much different. In Canada, one applies for the incentive, and once approved, it comes right off the truck price when you buy it at the dealership, and then the dealership gets reimbursed from the government. In the US, it's a tax credit that one applies for at the end of the fiscal year. Only now are a larger percentage of EV trucks, including the base trim Cybertruck that wasn't available before, is going to be able to qualify. Weeks before the Trump administration is threatening to axe the entire frickin' thing. Overall, I think the loss of these programs, or the pause of these programs, will have short-term chilling effects on overall EV sales. But most EV truck buyers have already accepted the fact and grown accustomed to knowing there will be zero government money for an EV truck purchase. And the numbers clearly show that there's only one direction EV truck sales are going. And if you haven't already watched my 2024 wrap-up, where I reveal some shocking EV truck sales results, you definitely want to check it out right here. As always, thanks for watching.